Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Boring Enterprise Nerdcast. We have very exciting guest today. It's Aleksandar Debelic from IBM. Alex is a return guest. We had a conversation with him about 2 years ago, and Alex is a book author for ABAP Cloud SAP Press book. Please say hi, Alex.
Hey, and there is another one. There is one that I released with a couple of my friends from IBM and ex-IBM. In fact, another one. So I have two books on
Ooh.
my
All
name
right, exciting,
so far.
exciting. Books are multiplying, and my and my co-host is, as always, Paul Moderman.
Hi,
Please
guys.
wave. All right.
Uh, I do want to acknowledge that I think Alexander is joining us from the holodeck on the Starship Enterprise that's been turned off, but I
Exactly.
think that's where he is. Yeah. So welcome. He's orbiting Rigel right now, the Rigel system. So thanks for coming on.
Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah. Thanks
So,
for
so
having me. I like to drop by. Yeah.
awesome, Alex. So since it's been 2 years since our last conversation, so let's see, what have you been up to in all this time? Can you share with us?
Well, yeah, I mean, being kind of always very interested to follow up with everything that is going on, the latest stuff around SAP or non-SAP also,
Mm.
technology, innovation, stuff like that. Well, and also how I was being pushed back and forth within IBM as well. So trying to kind of be part of different initiatives and trying to get get to some new things, new achievements. So mostly in the past couple of years, it was topics were around DevOps, around clean core, and lately, of course, everyone is talking about Gen AI. So basically, I think it's a topic that is here to stay. Yeah. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
pretty much what I've been doing since we met last time. Yeah.
Yeah, and this are all. I think they all could make podcasts just by themselves easily,
Yeah.
especially Gen AI, which is Paul's favorite subject, I believe, and Clean Core. Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shameless promo
Yeah.
of new book. Awesome. So we have book galore in this
Hmm.
podcast. Alex, I'm curious about DevOps. I'm personally not much into that space. But um, what can you say about DevOps that would be relevant for ABAP developers specifically? Is kind of DevOps because ABAP is not really. Um, I would say ABAPers are usually not much into DevOps, just because in most systems, like we have our transport system, and that's pretty much it. Many times people
Yeah.
just don't even have access to tools that would be from DevOps space. But what's your take on like DevOps and developers?
Yeah. I mean, that is in fact, that is a tough one. Of course, we know it. I mean, transport management system is a very robust and very reliable
Yeah.
mechanism that is, as we know it, integrated into SAP. And for years, that was something that no one ever thought about. Yeah, we need not something different now. But then new trends, let's say, new waves came, and everyone is talking about DevOps. And then there is, of course, BTP, and you have also SAP also has this BTP service for continuous uh, integration and the
Mhm.
deployment
Mm.
CI/CD service. So basically, there was a challenge. In fact, okay, so can we do something about ABAP? Basically, I mean, when we talk about BTP extensions with Java, JavaScript, it's a no-brainer. I mean, yeah, it's very easy to put them into something. Is it BTP or maybe Azure DevOps or you name it? But when it comes to ABAP, it's a little bit more difficult. And we know that there was this, I will call it attempt from SAP, and I think it is very silent lately, and that is this GCTS. So we know about it. That was an attempt to, it was not really a, it was one step towards some kind of DevOps, Git-enabled CTS, but in reality, it was only a wrapper around CTS, which means that it was very much limited to how CTS works.
Yeah.
And it proved to be a very limiting factor. So I think that so far it is still not there. And I don't recall that there were any mentions lately about any investment or improvements in GCTS. So basically, that is something that is probably, I don't know. I mean, it has some use. It can be used in some areas, but yeah, for real DevOps, very difficult. But then there are tools from other partners, like I experimented a little bit, for example, with active control from Basis Technologies. That is interesting one, but still, it integrates very nicely to the outside world, and it can be put into some kind of DevOps context, but it's not the real one. So basically, I think we are back more or less where we started. So I mean, can we call it DevOps? I don't know.
So like if I'm a run-of-the-mill, just standard ABAP nerd, like why should I care about a new form of DevOps other than my standard transport, release, blah, 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 all that regular mechanism? Like what makes the stuff you've been looking into not just like technically interesting, but like interesting in terms of process for ABAP teams?
Yeah, well, basically, it goes together with these new ways of working, where you have these teams that have a full control of everything. So they would have would need to have capability to work in isolation, to develop and to test and to run the full cycle by themselves. And for that having some toolkit for ABAP would be great. But working in isolation, we know it's a very difficult in ABAP world. That means that you have separate infrastructures and everything, and we know that in ABAP world that is not cheap. It's not easy to spin up a new environment and stuff like that. I mean, all this has to be part of this tool chain, and I mean, it can. I mean, working in a DevOps way is in fact improving this agility, flexibility. I mean, it's much potentially more optimized and also collaborating with others. But unfortunately, in ABAP world, that is very difficult to achieve.
Sort of very nearly unheard of, I guess you could say, right? In terms of teams, delivering stuff for their businesses. I'm not sure, and I mean, my experience is limited. I'm not sure I've ever run into a team that has really taken a serious step to integrating it into their process rather than the exploratory. I can see how it's better, but we haven't gotten there yet in like making our process match that, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then there was also a question, okay, can we come up with some kind of enterprise DevOps, some kind of solution that would go even beyond ABAP and include everything. So we have a solution that integrates multiple systems, multiple solutions. Can we do that? Can we and orchestrate from one place?
Wow.
Yeah, not easily.
Wow. Good luck. I wish everyone well who wants that. Yeah, that'd be awesome, but holy crap. Like, can you
Yeah.
imagine can you imagine the headache and heartache of saying, "Yep, we're gonna do this. Let's start from wherever." And then once the SAP crew comes on board, you just have to go back to the drawing board process-wise to get everyone really synced up and online on that. That's just gonna be wholly hard. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Mm, yeah.
Wow.
Awesome. All right. So switching gears, I definitely want to cover everyone's favorite AI subject. So as we all heard at SAP TechEd, there are many grant announcements around AI space. So there was like Joule, AI agents. I know Alex and Paul, you actually had a chance to actually do some real hands-on stuff with with something around the subject. So
Mhm.
Alex, let's start with you. Can you share something with us in that area that you experimented with?
Well, basically, we are kind of, uh, let's say, building some solutions around SAP. There is also something called IBM SAP value partnership, which was
Mm.
announced on Sapphire
Yeah.
to build 100 assets and stuff like that. So basically, yeah, in the beginning, we were building everything, of course, using IBM Watson X. But now, in fact, that is also one of the great things that were recently announced, and that is that IBM LLM is now available on the BTP GenAI Hub. So it's
Mm.
Granite. So now we have, in fact, a task to move everything to GenAI Hub. So we are working on that. But yeah, basically, I mean, I was not directly involved in the development as such, but mostly working with teams to come up with some good use cases with architectures, how to kind of
Mm.
achieve something, and yeah, stuff like that. Yeah.
Mm. Are you someone that makes do you personally use Gen AI tools, development or otherwise, in your day-to-day life?
Well, I unfortunately I don't have much time to do actual hands-on development. Mostly when I do this, it's when I get involved in some beta programs, like I'm now.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
But it was in the past. It was, for example, for build code before it was released, and it was a
Mm.
really interesting experience. Then there were some again around ABAP and still
Yeah,
ongoing some betas kicking off. I cannot tell too much about it because of NDA,
yeah.
but that is in line with the announcement that we heard in TechEd, and that was one of the highlights, I think, in the keynote also. Two main things. It was Joule for consultants and Joule for developers. I mean, Joule for developers is the one that we are interested in. And
Mhm.
yeah, I think it's really interesting because I mean we know that there is also this option to use GitHub Copilot for ABAP,
Yeah.
but we know also its limitation. The thing is with ABAP, of course, is and GitHub Copilot, the way how it works, it is it is learning on information it is getting from public GitHub repositories, and we know when we talk about Java, JavaScript, Python, there
Huge.
are
Yeah.
millions.
Yeah.
But when we talk about ABAP, not so many, and so therefore, and we know how it works. I mean, if you don't have a good base to on which you can teach the model, tune the model, then the outcome is also not that
Yeah.
impressive.
Mhm.
But the real thing is, in fact, get the LLM from SAP so that SAP is the owner of this proprietor, all the millions and millions lines of code. Uh, no one can do it except from SAP, in my opinion. So I'm
Yeah.
looking forward, in fact, to this. And not only that, but also there are some other announcements that not only that we are going to be able to use Joule, but also to extend it. So there will be also extension capability in 2025. So basically a lot of interesting stuff and exciting stuff. There was also mention of this AI SDK that SAP is also going to release for ABAPers to easily consume LLMs on BTP Gen AI Hub. So a lot of good stuff, but still not too much hands-on. But yeah, basically, I think it's exciting times, let's say.
I think there's a lot. I think there's a lot of ABAP people who look at the output of your ChatGPTs or your Claudes or whatever, and they're like, but yeah, but it's not the best thing in the world. And I use a lot of Python, JavaScript, and other languages in my day-to-day dev life. It's incredible for those. When I use it for ABAP, I have to give it a pretty hefty set of and make sure you do this, and make sure you do this, and make sure you do this kind of stuff. If I just ask a one sentence, write me a thing that does XYZ, it's going to wander off pretty quick because, like you said, the ABAP presence of the training data of the public models is just not very good. So my hope for the ABAP world is that SAP steps on the gas and delivers something that has that bigger chunk of available information to the model to really accelerate. Because I think honestly, the ABAP community is missing out because it's so good with other languages and other frameworks that if your lens on it is ABAP, I can totally see why you'd be like, yeah, shrug. You know what I mean? It's not as good as it is for the other languages out there. So yeah, I do think I have hope for ABAP, but I do have, I certainly I'm a Kool-Aid drinker. I like to be like, oh, it's awesome, holy cow! In 10 weeks we'll have the holodeck ourselves, right? Like that's kind of my, sort of base weirdo sci-fi nerd thing. And I know that I'm probably too optimistic for most things, but I am hopeful for the SAP world to get caught up when SAP opens the doors to their work and their models on that stuff for sure.
Hope springs eternal.
Yeah.
So
I mean, speaking of which, I think the biggest buzz right now is around AI agents. That was another announcement, and basically, I keep hearing about it, and there will be some early access for partners and customers coming very soon. In fact, maybe we are talking about days rather than weeks, and that sounds really exciting. I mean, AI agents are not a new topic. That is something that I don't want to brag. IBM has been around with that, but
IBM did it.
I mean, yeah, having this on BTP, and I mean, we know the real advantage of anything we have on BTP is this integration with and this SAP flavor that then it's much easier to put it into any context, any business solution around SAP. It's much easier on BTP, and it's coming on BTP, and it looks. I mean, AI agents as such are kind of have this impressive capabilities. So I'm looking forward to that one. And I hear from other people when I go to some conferences or sessions when someone is presenting something around this. I see the audience also. All the topics okay, nice, but then when they hear about AI agents, everyone looks and listens closely. So it's going to be another breakthrough, I think, once it is released.
I completely agree with you because I have been able to actually professionally work with agents outside of the SAP ecosystem, or I guess not driven by SAP tools, but by other tools. And it is absolutely true that you can accomplish things with agents that you cannot accomplish just by, a one-shot prompt to your ChatGPT. You can do so much more. So it is very exciting to think about when that stuff lands in SAP. I mean, the general theme of like both of DevOps and of Gen AI, the theme here is that the outside world gets the cool shit, and then SAP gets to like catch up to us nerds later in their stuff, right?
Yeah.
So like getting the chance to see the cool shit from the outside world gives me hope for the SAP world when that lands in our laps here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. On,
Yeah.
on catching up, just a funny story. So in our sessions that I did at Tech Connect, it was totally just unscripted session, so people just came in with random questions. And one person asked about microservices. And funny thing, microservices in outside of SAP, there was almost like 180 turnaround. It was like, oh, microservices, yay! But then there was excitement kind of went down, and then yeah, I mean there's some value, but there are also some disadvantages. So excitement kind of started not to die down completely, but it went to more like practical levels. While SAP, like huge cruise ship, was kind of completely missed the microservices island initially, and by the time it turned around, it
Yeah.
reached the microservices conversation at the stage where it was kind of not really exciting again. So there is sometimes advantage to being late to the
Yeah.
conversation because it's like, yeah, like everyone jumped and everyone jumped off already, and now SAP is there. It's like, hey guys, like where where is everyone? Where are
I mean, I guess
microservices? And
there
yeah,
is kind of this you could make the argument that like the outside world gets to try and fail at the stuff
yeah,
that isn't going to matter,
yeah,
and then we get to just sit back and like
yeah.
receive the fruits of other people like doing the hard work of scratching their heads and trying whatever, and then we just get the stuff that works.
Yeah, yeah.
That's an angle. That's certainly an angle of that. Yeah.
Nice.
Definitely.
Awesome. So I just want to go back for a second for extensibility because extensibility, especially for ABAP developers, that's usually big part of what we do. I mean, SAP standard is great, but we all know it's never 100% good for the customers. Everyone always wants to put their little twist on the standard.
Mm.
There was a session at Tech Connect that was supposed to be about dual uh, deployment and extensibility. And unfortunately, there wasn't really anything about extensibility specifically. It was talked about how you build the skills of how to build this agents, etc. But the presenter said that there might be more information coming. So I think that's maybe a problem with a lot of these conversations. That's it's kind of a little bit too early to say in many cases, and we know that many announcements were exactly that kind of announcement of things coming in 2025. So I do hope there will be some news about that because currently I'm not really clear, even not even in like specifics, but even the idea, how would you possibly extend whatever standard type of Joule
Mm.
does? So I don't know if you, Alex, if you might might have some insights or not on this part.
No, unfortunately, I don't. And yeah, I do agree. Yeah, it's, I mean, everything we heard also on TechEd is like one good teaser.
Yeah,
But still, except from some demos and stuff, not much more than that. And I'm constantly looking into roadmaps because some things that were announced to be available in Q4. I mean,
mm-hmm.
we are in the middle of Q4 right now. They are still not released. So, for example, yeah. So, for example, there was integration of ABAP Cloud into build code, for example. It's
Mm.
still
Yeah.
not there as far as I can see. Then Gen AI capabilities on build apps and build process automation. So all this interesting stuff, I mean, it's almost there, but still not there.
Come
So
on,
still
guys,
waiting
give me
for
my
it.
goodies. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and
Yeah,
then there is this extensibility wizard for S/4HANA public cloud. I don't know if that one was released yet. I'm not sure
yeah,
about that one. But yeah, all
Mm.
a lot of very interesting stuff that was announced, and really looking forward to get hands on it. Yeah. Yeah.
And before we move to another subject, Alex, I know that IBM is probably one of the largest employers of ABAP developers out there, and there are some internal like Slack channels, etc., where people just go and converse and ask questions. I'm curious if you might share maybe you have any information from there. Like the actual ABAP developers, what are their thoughts about Gen AI, about AI possibilities in ABAP? Do you hear any feedback maybe, or any questions, or like what's in general kind of vibe in developer community?
Well, let's say in developer community, I mean, everyone is, of course, very interested in this. And we know, like any industrial revolution, it's always a mixed feeling, you know. Some people
Yeah.
are looking forward to see how this will work, how this will change their work. Some are a little bit concerned. What does it mean for me as a
Yep.
developer? Does
Yep.
it mean that I will be replaced? But yeah, I think the actual truth is somewhere in between. So to yeah, to embrace these new technologies and yeah, improve how we do our work. I mean, that is one, of course, very much talked about topic is clean core and RESTful application programming model. So many people are still in the process of upskilling and learning this because I mean, many people are still doing things the old way. So these are some things that are um, some most common, let's say, subjects of discussion in ABAP community. Yeah.
Yeah. So perfect segue to clean cores that I definitely wanted to talk about. So again, I just was at Tech Connect conference last week, and there were several sessions about the subject. I went to one of them that was specifically for ABAP and related to SAP private cloud systems. So the session went something like that. So SAP presenters gave us the typical slides, the typical message. Oh, here is, tier one, tier two, tier three, whatever that means. Then don't do modifications and use public APIs. And for a while, everyone politely just listened. But as soon as they opened for Q&A, the floodgates kind of opened immediately because I think everyone agrees to the general message. I don't think there is at all disagreement between SAP and customers, developers. Everyone is on board, but as usual, there is big but. Like, where are the APIs? And what exactly do we do about things like old user exits? And do we even do anything about them, or do we just let them be for the time being? So there was just an avalanche of different questions. I think poor presenters got kind of buried under there. So Alex, what's your take from your personal or IBM's perspective, or customers that you work with?
Yeah, I mean, that is clean core is always a challenging topic. In fact, uh, especially with experienced customers who have been around with SAP for years or even decades, and now persuading them why clean core, that is one big thing. Yeah, to for them to get understanding what benefit this and in what time frame they are going to get this benefit. Then on the other hand, even when you do the greenfield implementations of S/4HANA, so there are projects like this, and even let's say not that many, but they are more and more companies when they move to S/4HANA, they make this radical decision to kind of take a clean slate and go for greenfield.
Yeah.
But even then, it's very difficult to completely. So they commit from the beginning. Yes, we will do clean core, but then they come across these obstacles, especially for, like you said, user exits, these enhancements and stuff. So there are these so-called cloud bodies that you can use in key user extensibility or developer extensibility. But still, a lot of stuff is not covered. And in that case, there is no other solution but to go for the old way of enhancements. But the most we can do is to try any development to steer in the direction of developer extensibility as much as we can. We have a lot of APIs. I mean, especially if we are doing on-stack developer extensibility, or how we like to call it, embedded steampunk, a lot of CDS views and everything that is already released to be used in tier one. So basically, there is a lot of capability there. So with this kind of development, things are much better. But yeah, I agree with the enhancements. It's still not that easy. Yeah, to get because in the end, it is a business who is dictating. They say we need this, and yeah, you cannot say, oh no, it's technically not feasible. We don't want to do it. You'll do it.
That's true.
Yes, especially in
That's true.
consulting world, we don't always have luxury to say, yeah, no, not going to happen, because there is no clean way of doing that. It's business customers, they don't really care. I would say many times about this. It's just do it, whatever you need to, because people want to run their systems the way they want to run them. Yeah, it's not developers' place to say that. I have to add that purely from like developer practitioner perspective, I would love to see more specific examples, and I can give you one. So you mentioned greenfield implementations. That's definitely great opportunity for everyone to just ditch their old code and just start fresh with definitely better approach. But there is just people just don't know, and I think they have no way of knowing things like, for example, this good old SD user exits. There is actually body available that can be used instead, and it's been available for a while. There is absolutely no way to know this unless you randomly stumble upon some random blog post on SAP community. I found this completely by accident. I was searching for something and I found it many years ago. And I was surprised that it's not talked more about by SAP, because I would talk about it. It's like, okay, we have this new functionality, but they just don't. They go talk about like public APIs, it's like online APIs, but this web APIs, it's not what we do most of the time, especially developers. I mean, other developers maybe more, but most of what I do, it's on stack. So it's within that same SAP S/4HANA system. Those web APIs, they're of no use to me. I'm not gonna call web API from some kind of GUI screen,
From the
right?
outside,
It's nonsense. And that's where I think every time you try to talk on SAP in this way, you feel some short circuits, some kind of explosions going in there that just we do not align here, I think, a lot. So but I don't know how we can improve our alignment. Yeah. So sorry, Paul. So from your more cutting edge development perspective, yeah, what's the deal with clean core?
That's it. I keep having this thought that like, so a couple things. One is I almost so I'm gonna shout out to Ethan Jewett, our friend and colleague. He did okay. So there's this new thing, or relatively new, called Blue Sky. I've been on there maybe a year. Most people are kind of coming to it as like a new Twitter alternative, right? And Ethan dropped a I don't know what you call it, a tweet, but for Blue Sky, whatever you call those. Um, and he essentially said, like, the messaging around clean core has gotten a little muddled.
Yeah.
Which is to say, the center of any discussion or argument or whatever around clean core should just be, hey, is what you did upgrade safe?
Yeah.
Right? That should be the nugget from which every tendril or tentacle extends from, right? All the rest of the stuff is kind of noise. That's the reason anyone talks about clean core is that upgrade slash new feature reliability safety, right?
Yeah.
And so, like, I think that that stuff that's a good perspective to take on in general. The other side of that, I think, is that like I almost think of it kind of like so there's cleaning your room, which is like put away all your clothes, make your bed, clean off your desk, put the stuff in the closet, right? And then
Mm,
you dust off the desk and you wipe down the thing and you vacuum and you sweep and you whatever. That's cleaning your room.
mm,
Tidying your room is just like putting stuff away that's out,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That's not the vacuuming, that's not the clean the cobwebs from the ceiling, right? I
Yeah.
think what a lot of people aim for is clean core, and I think a lot of times what they achieve is tidy core,
Yeah.
right? Which is like almost all the stuff is good, but then you know what? My desk is dusty, but there's nothing I can do about it. I can't afford to go buy a Swiffer or what I don't know,
Yeah.
whatever, right? So like I think in most cases, because I think this is kind of happening at one of
Mm,
the places I'm kind of advising with now too, is that like you've got your giant spreadsheet full of all the enhancements in the weirdo enhancement bucket that you want to get rid of when you jump over the fence. But just, as we know, every spreadsheet that has RICEFs or enhancements or whatever in it, there's always like a giant bucket of them. They're like, cool, we got it. And then there's the last little 1%, 2%, whatever that are everybody highlights in red that are like, we just can't do it without spoiling XYZ. And I
yeah.
think
Yeah.
that still is happening even today is we just can't get all the way there. We're going to be tidy but not clean.
Yeah. So it's more like guests are coming and they
Yeah.
have like huge pile of clothes sitting here in the middle of the room.
Just like
Everyone is
stuff
gonna
it in the
see it.
closet.
I need to very quickly stuff it into closet. But yeah, if my windows are not washed, that's kind of not really a priority. I think
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
probably space where many customers are
Yeah.
at. So we're kind of closing in on our time for this podcast. I want to make sure to cover this subject before we go. So many customers are also wondering how exactly can they tell how clean their core is or unclean? Because in your case of guests coming over, you can very clearly see the problem sitting on your floor,
Yeah.
and you know what to do about it. With your SAP systems, it's not always that obvious. And I'm curious, Aleks, especially from IBM, maybe because I know when S/4HANA migrations just were starting, IBM created some of the tools for internal use and for customer use to help with that migration, even before SAP, I think, started on theirs. I'm curious if you maybe thought about creating similar tools like that to measure cleanliness or to help with that in some way to the customers?
Yeah, if as a matter of fact, yeah, we are in fact working on some tools. Still, it's early still to speak about it, but yeah, we do have an offering where we are in fact doing so-called clean core assessment.
Mm,
And to do that, one of the tools is you are probably referring to this HIA HANA Impact Assessment
mhm,
that is in fact giving a very good overview and recommendations to customers who are moving from
Yeah.
ECC to S/4HANA, but also
Yeah.
some outputs from that tool are very important to for this kind of assessment. And we combine them also with the outputs of some SAP tools, like, of course, ATC checks, like CCLM from Solution Manager and stuff like that, to kind of help customers understand the current state of their system and what should be their roadmap what should they look to retire, what should they think about converting to clean core, what can go side by side. But still, we have some tools that are still kind of not. It's more like semi-automatic process right now. But we have this objective because this is in fact very in demand. Everyone is now asking how we can, like you said, measure how far we are from clean core and can we get there. That are the important questions that everyone has right now.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure there will be no like magic wands that will just solve everyone's clean core issues, but at least I think to have some tools to run some evaluations, that would be very helpful.
Absolutely.
In the sessions that I attended at Tech Connect, and I wrote about this a little bit in our latest newsletter, there were basically two recommendations. One, which is a free one, or almost free, was to use ATC, which can be connected to the list of released APIs. I am yet to look into this in more detail, but that was general recommendation coming from SAP. Second, there is allegedly some kind of tool for specifically for RISE customers, for some reason not available for other customers, which is a bit weird. And I've heard about this before, but the way how this tool wasn't really advertised kind of makes me thinking maybe it might not be really great, but there might be other reasons. SAP didn't really talk about this in detail.
Yeah.
I was not able to find much information about it, but again, because it's restricted to the RISE customers, it's simply very difficult for anyone, like for consultants like myself, to say anything because we simply don't have access to it. So yeah, I guess we may need to rely on the partner ecosystem for a while to provide tools like this. And yeah, so I would be curious. Maybe we can do like a show and tell session even to showcase
that
the
would be
tool, how
cool.
it looks like,
I think
what
that'd
it
be
can
very
do. So
helpful.
yeah, very interesting.
I
Yeah.
mean, this ATC, you are referring probably to ATC connected to Cloudification repository, which is in fact always getting the latest information, what is released from SAP.
Yeah.
And yeah, but there is one more thing that came to my mind just now. There is in SAP for Me portal, there is also one small dashboard. It's a clean core dashboard. It's a very limited capability, but it's interesting. Let's say it's interesting, but what is more interesting when you go to this right now, if you go to SAP for Me and open this dashboard, is when you open your system, for example, your production system, you will get this dashboard if it is being fed from Solution Manager. But there is also information that I think in March or April next year, all the capabilities plus more will be included in Cloud ALM. So that is another thing that I forgot to mention as one important, let's say, thing to look for is how SAP is introducing these new capabilities in Cloud ALM. Because we know that it will eventually replace Solution Manager, but all this new and great stuff is in fact going immediately there. It's not going to be available in Solution Manager, never. But it's interesting to see what SAP. I personally don't know what this message means, but I'm also looking forward to see what is coming in April next year when they are going to include this dashboard with more capabilities, like they say there. What is all that going to include?
Awesome. So we are, I think we're almost at the time. Aleks, other than your two SAP Press books, is there anything that you would like to promote? Any maybe passion projects or any messages? So the floor is yours, please. Or if you want to thank anyone, we actually have Thanksgiving coming up in the United States. Yeah.
I want to thank to my family. And no, I don't have any specific message. I think only what I can say that we live in exciting times. So
Yeah.
I think that I'm pretty much excited about everything that is to come, that is already there. I mean, yeah, let's see
Yeah.
what 2025 has in store for us. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Beautiful.
that yeah, definitely 2025 will be lit. So yes, we'll see you next year. So hopefully for more exciting podcasts and episodes. So thank you so much, Alex, for coming over again and talking to us about technology. Please like and subscribe. Subscribe to our newsletter and follow Alex on LinkedIn and other social media. I think everyone is moving to Blue Sky, as do we. So we'll thank you again, and we'll see you next time. Bye,
Bye,
everyone.
Yeah.
everyone.
Thank you. Bye.